Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes
This
every
week we
Tuesday.
have The Killsmith of Etherdeign by D. Ertug.
Yay!
In the land of Etherdeign, Bredikai is a bit of an outcast. As a mercenary for hire, depending on who you ask, she spends most of her time on the road looking for trouble with the dragons of the land. When the king of the dragons dies, Bredikai is recruited by Etherdein's king to help keep his evil son, Borghalus, from taking his place. On her journey, she is joined by the biggest group of misfits in the land, and she must accomplish her mission, no matter how badly they distract her with their help. So, Rachel, what did you think about this book?
So this book is it's one of those books that I've wanted to read for a long time. So like as soon as we got on Threads, we met this author and she's so sweet and we talked to her a lot and um just like NJ Alexander and just like Jessica Mason, it's one of those books where we've kind of had it on our TBR and then I don't even know why, but I don't know why we didn't think about it before, but like it was never a hey, let's put this on the podcast, right? So then we're like going through all of our submissions and we're like, we need to throw these books onto our on onto our list. So I'm really glad that we were able to get to it for a lack of a better term. Um and so this one it's another quest book. Although, if you have read the book or if you are the author, there's a quote specifically related to calling it a quest. And that quote was, it's not a quest, said the killsmith, eyeing the steaming drink that looked like soupy mold. Quests have purpose and a faint hope of succeeding. As I told King Althean the last time I saw him, this is a prolonged suicide stroll. um, so so there's that. Also, I feel like I should forewarn everyone. This book was so funny. And I'm going to have so many quotes. I'm going to just reference all of the quotes. It's not a what's your favorite quote. It's Rachel, can you not read the entire book on the podcast today? So there's the first of a long list.
Okay. So, I gather you liked it.
We'll definitely get into it. Um but I want to know first off, like right off the bat, did you notice the titles of the titles of the chapters?
So, I kind of did. Um, I I kind of sat there at one point and I was like, wait a second, what? It was just more of like puns, I guess you could say, like into what
Yeah.
may happen. So it was just like I found it kind of funny. And like you said, there was a lot of aspects to the book that were actually really funny. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to get into one of them that I found hilarious.
One of the like, I'm not going to read all the chapter titles, but they're like so um a bit of resurrection never hurt anyone, a time to be undead and other embarrassments, leaving the past behind and other gardening tips. Oh my god, they're so funny.
They really are. Once you get into further into reading the chapter itself, you understand what the titles are referring to. And I love the way that she did that. It was really witty, but also it's like, ah, I see you there. I see you.
I see what you did there. So when characters are introduced, especially main characters, normally they're introduced in a specific way. I was on page 14 and I had no idea whether or not the main character was attractive. And I know that that's a weird thing to notice, but like normally when you read a story, even if it's not like a romance, even if it's nothing like that, you're told, oh, they're conventionally good looks, or she didn't have average features, but she was still whatever. But I noticed that I was on page 14 and I had no idea whether or not the main character was attractive. And I thought that that was cool, and it was a weird thing that I noticed because like she was so rough and tumble, you know? And like I did know on, up to page 14 that she lived on the road, that she was sarcastic, that she, wasn't scared to say that she stunk. She had a flask, she had tattoos on her face. And like I do kind of a little bit wish that there were more details into the appearance of the characters just so that I could picture them in my head. But I love the fact that it was never specified whether or not she was attractive. Because I'm going to kind of go on a little bit of like a tangent or like a rant here, but I hate the term, and I know that the author has said it, and I know that people on threads have said it. I know listeners have said it. I'm so sorry to all of you, like everyone. I hate the term normalized. Let's normalize this. Let's normalize this, because to me, it's just the person saying let's normalize this, not doing it, saying like, oh, let's all get together and do this thing so that I don't feel alone doing it on my own. But this author totally like quote unquote normalized, like this is how you do it, you know what I mean? This is how you have a character who, it doesn't matter if they're pretty or it doesn't matter if they're attractive. It's like you get their personality first. And I thought that that was really rad. It wasn't even mentioned, like literally looks wasn't mentioned at all. Like normally if you have a character who was, not attractive or whatever, it's mentioned that they're not attractive, or like there was no alluding to her looks at all. It just was a non-issue. And I loved that. I thought that was so beautifully done. She literally just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, there was no mention of her height, her weight, her anything about like her physical features. It was just, yeah, she's a female with a tattoo. She's kind of dirty sometimes and stinks, but this is all you get. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. So when you have something like that, my immediate brain just goes to she's probably got some funked up teeth. She's probably got like the grossest looking hair. And I kind of make her as physically as ugly as possible.
Oh.
That's just me, especially because of the fact that she's a warrior or, well,
Mm-hmm.
a mercenary, whatever. It makes me feel like, scars and, it just, she's imperfect. That is the only way that I can describe it. There's a certain image that I get, but all I can envision is seeing that she's an imperfect person.
Well, like I kind of think that like so say we have a character with a big nose, they would normally say something along the lines of um her big nose didn't make her conventionally pretty, but she was still attractive, despite it. Or they would say something along the lines of like, her face was beautiful except for the, giant nose, or whatever the case may be. And like, I wish, I kind of wish that there was more detail just so that I could know like if she had a big nose or not. But I liked the fact that it wasn't connected to her attractiveness. You know what I mean? Like there was a tattoo on her face, but there was no like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like I wish that there was more detail, but not relating to whether or not she was attractive.
I can understand that. It gives it a good sense of mystery, though, in a sense, because
Yeah.
it honestly it lets. I'm being devil's advocate at the moment because of the fact that it gives every reader a chance to make her own. But yeah, I can totally respect what you're saying.
Yeah.
More detail definitely would have been better.
Well, I know that there are some people who do prefer when there's less detail because then they can kind of, like you said, exactly make the character kind of their own.
Hmm.
Um, I like to have a roadmap.
Well, especially for this type of book where you're already using your imagination so much, I can understand that.
Speaking of imagination,
Oh boy.
you know how that there was some discord online whether or not the word fuck should be used in fantasy?
Oh yeah. And
They would hate this book.
I don't know if you saw what I wrote on, I think it was NJ Alexander's post. He said that it should be allowed in fantasy, and I said it should be allowed in every genre. And his response was perfect. It was Mary had a fucking little lamb. All about died. But yes, these people would really hate this book. And you know something? I have to say this because I really resonated with the main character after a while because that is my favorite word that is out of my mouth so much. And I've calmed down during the podcast itself, but you don't understand how hard it is to not sit here and say this fucking dragon and then there was this fucking necromancer. But I try to behave for you guys.
Try to class it up a little.
Just a little.
Um, no, I agree because here's the thing. To kind of get a little bit into it, the exposition is not my favorite. It was really hard to read. It's for me, it was really hard to read, especially in the beginning when it was literally just like info dumpy kind of, like when it was literally just introducing all the characters, introducing the setting, introducing all the things. It was really hard for me to get through. And like there were some things that I wish were more detailed and some things that I wish were less detailed, and it was kind of, it was hard for me. But one thing that I will say is this author is a master of dialogue. Like she does banter better than most people I've read. She is so, like, it's so funny. The comments back and forth, the fighting, the bickering, like the witty kind of like, there was a part where she was talking to the king, right? And he was like talking about his sister who's a necromancer, and she's like, he was talking about an issue they were having, and she was like, oh, is this about your sister? And he goes, no. And she was like, okay, Bredikai nodded innocently, so we're just not really concerned that she might be raising an undead army to march upon us or anything. And that was the first moment when I was like, oh, she's funny, okay.
All right. I'm gonna get into it because my favorite scene was when Solinus.
Oh yeah, the dragon, Sunny.
Okay. Okay. So it was Solinus and Bredikai, and they're sitting there arguing back and forth, and she hits him with the "you're fat," and he hits her back with "your mom was loose," and I died. I about fucking died. Let me tell you, that was literally my favorite part of this entire book. I don't care what
Oh
else
my god, it was so
happens.
funny.
I was reading that at work and I bust out laughing so hard. I could not control myself. Just your mother was loose. And it was just like a mic drop.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. Let me tell you, she won my heart at that point.
Oh, you want to know when she won my heart? Oh my god. So she reminds me of me when I'm telling a story. So in that part where she's talking to the king and they're having this really long meeting, right? She starts telling a story and she goes, I'm going to read it. It's so long. Hold on. It says, "No, sire. Zindan, I think. Jadon? Wow, my memory's gotten rough. One of the Dons. Anyway, sweet old Drake, once you got past the snobbiness, honestly, I don't even notice it anymore. You could tell he wouldn't harm a fly if he could help it. He was living his last days, just wanted someone to talk to, and I guess I was as good as anyone. So we sat for a while, shared a fire. I asked him what he was doing so far from Karkaren, and he said something about it no longer being the home he knew. That it would never be the same again now that Borghalus was back. And it was just the way she wrote it was so funny. It was like, this person, I don't know, one of the persons. It was so funny.
And
Like you're talking to a king and she's just rambling off at the mouth.
yeah, and she literally gave no fucks. Like, and that was the best part about this character. She didn't care who she was talking to. Even moments with her grandfather in the beginning where
Oh my God.
she was like, oh God, I can't even remember, but they were joking around and she kept saying that oh come on, old man, you could do this or that, blah blah blah.
It's because so she was at the bar. She was like at his bar and he was talking about how like basically like she's like the shame of the family name and like oh god what is our family come to or whatever, and she's just throwing him right back to him.
Yep, and yeah, she kept calling him Gramps and everything, and he was getting pissed off about it. And oh Lord. And the fact that she was like, "Oh, I need a new shield." And then she's like, he was picking on her for the whole bird thing, being taken by the birds or something like
Oh, the
that. Oh my,
griffins.
yes.
Griffin bait. I so
Yes.
that kind of started, it was like a reoccurring theme throughout the book, and every time she would see or she would hear the word griffin, she would get like horrified, and I was like, please do not explain the griffin. Like I wanted so badly for it to just not be explained because I thought that would have been like the funniest, and obviously no spoilers, but like I thought that even from the beginning I was like, oh god, I hope she does not explain this.
Hmm. I love those witty moments that she put in there. And they're everywhere. Like literally, you couldn't go a page without running into a witty comment or just some funny ass bullshit that's happening. So I mean, yes, it might have been a quest book and everything, but it was like watch or oh my god. Oh my god, I got it. It was like reading Quest for Camelot. Do you remember that movie?
No, what movie was that?
Quest for Camelot. So it was a blind guy leading a princess with a two-headed dragon. And it was just
Oh,
like a
that's that cartoon, wasn't it?
yeah.
Full transparency, I've never seen it.
Okay, well, it was funny as hell. And like this
You
blind guy was
posted about it on Threads.
I may have, yeah. Or no, I commented on someone that posted about it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But that movie was like stupidly funny, even though they were on a quest. There was like a band of misfits, and it was just so comical. And I used to love watching that movie over and over and over again. Now it
It-
makes sense.
it's like the Three Stooges with dragons. Like, so I know I keep bringing it back, but there's this one part in the beginning where she's talking to her cousin and he's forcing her to do something, and she says, have I ever told you that my family's undying support is the reason I get up in the morning? And he said, yes, you're the pride of the pack.
Oh Lord.
So you did mention her companions. So in her like in the book there she has some companions. There's a dragon with no wings and who's a little round around the middle, and he's sensitive about it. There are three skeletons, and they are brothers and a sister. And then there is a wraith. And I wanted to ask you how you felt about the skeletons.
So I thought it was actually quite hilarious with the way that they were. Because not only was the only female one have a boy's name, Like she had the boy's name versus the other two, which had girly names. But the fact that they were like so just chaotic, like you didn't know what was going to happen with them at any given moment. And I feel like here we go. This was like you, me, and Randall growing up. You didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen with us, growing up,
Mhm.
but it was just gonna happen whether one way or another.
They kind of reminded me of in the labyrinth, the orange guys. Do you know what
Okay,
I'm
yep,
talking about?
yep.
100%, especially when they started popping off uh skulls and stuff. But so these three skeletons, for those of you who have not read the book yet, they were pirates, and then one thing led to another, and then they died as pirates did. Um, but it's so weird the way it came about because it was like they move. So like when they come into the story, obviously I'm not giving any spoilers, but they come into the story and they're arguing over who gets to choose the next spot where they get to like be at rest. And all I could do was picture these skeletons just every couple years or every couple decades just getting up and being like, nah, I'm tired of this spot. And then going and burying themselves somewhere else.
You picked a swamp the last time.
Oh, so
Oh
funny.
God, they were hilarious. Uh, so I gotta go back to Bredikai real quick
Mm-hmm.
because when I said that there was similarities, I dude, I hated her at first. And it
Really?
seems it seems to be the running theme. Everybody I hate, I end up being kind of like remotely like resonating with. And I'm like sitting there and I'm reading how stubborn and just disastrous this girl is. And I'm like, yep, she could work with the bare minimum. She has a bad attitude. She she's willing to argue over everything. And she swears like a pirate. Like I was gonna say like a trucker, but I was like, wait a second here. But I mean, the fact that she was able to wrangle all these misfits in was actually kind of like really awesome because there was moments where she wanted to just let herself go and let her be herself,
Mm-hmm.
and then she realized that everybody else is like out of control, and she's like, oh well, I guess I gotta fucking be the one to do this. And then
Mm-hmm.
like, come on children, let's get together. But she was just quite the character. I don't know where she got her inspiration from her, but I'm glad she made her.
Yeah. She was such a rad character. And like her little one-liners. So, um, I know that we talked about how, the modern language in fantasy. I think that it was so perfect. Like there was one part, like she said, well, this blows. And then there's another quote where she said, she was like, well, what a fucking time to be alive.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
she definitely had some great comebacks and just
Oh my god, when they
remarks.
met the vampire and she leans over to the dragon and she goes, "Is it getting hot in here again?"
Or how about the fact that he goes, do you think that's your dad?
Oh my god.
Oh my God. You know, and then the fact that she was sitting there like, I think I have more of a shot than you do.
Oh my
Didn't you
god.
see him making eyes at me?
Legitimately, like I may not love her exposition, but her dialogue is next level. Like I almost wish that she would like, can you write a screenplay of this or like write a pilot episode? Like, can we get this into a TV show? Because I am dying to see this banter on the screen.
Yep, absolutely. Especially between her and Solanus. Solanus.
Sunny.
Yes, Sunny.
So here's the thing: is like she's called him Sonny a couple times, so that's what I'm going with. If the character's gonna use it, I'm gonna use it.
I wanted to call Bredikai the Carver this whole time because I'm hoping I'm
Right.
saying her name right, but the Carver just sounds absolutely accurate.
Yeah, well, I was watching a video from Trixie Mattel the other day, and she said she's like the question was it was like Trixie answers Googled questions, right? And one of the questions was, "What is your real name?" And for those of you who don't know who I am talking about the drag queen Trixie Mattel, whose real name is Brian. And so Trixie says in the video, she's like, well, I feel as though if someone gives you a name to call them, like you call them that name, you would never go up to Lady Gaga and say, "Hey, what's up, Stephanie?" You know what I mean? So like I feel like it's completely okay to call the character the Carver or Sunny because like, that's the names we were also given.
Listen, do you know how bad I want to walk up to Lady Gaga and go, "Hey, Stephanie, what's up?"
Hey, Stephanie.
I would. Okay, This is the same person that gave Flava Flav a dirty look on the street because he had a big old clock on his neck. He looked like a fool.
A fool.
Oh God, those were the days.
Those were the days.
Oh Lord. So I really want to talk about the Necromancer Castle real quick.
Sure.
How fucking dope was the description of this fucking castle?
Yo, for real, like sitting on top of a crow.
Uh, so listen, it says the entrance is shaped as a raven with outstretched wings, and the actual door itself was an open mouth. That is fucking awesome. Like I would not want to leave that. Like, fucking cool. But
Yeah.
I mean, the way that she was describing it when they were down on um the bottom, shall I say, looking up, she said it looked like the Titanic ship carved into a mountain or on a side of a cliff. And I thought that was just a really cool way to kind of see it. And then all of a sudden you get to the front of the castle and you're seeing a freaking a raven with outstretched wings. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that is like the most badass fucking castle. And I want you to draw this or someone draw this castle because I would love to see it come to life.
We need fan art of
It's,
the castle.
it's absolutely like literally this thing would just look absolutely fucking amazing in real life.
I wonder if I'll just like message her on threads and be like, hey, can we get some fan art, please? I'm
Yeah, seriously, because
gonna do it right now. Live on the podcast.
but I mean the fact that it was called the Ire Graven on top of that, like just a really cool name for a really cool castle that's ran by necromancers, and it's just like there's too much coolness right there in just one fucking page. I can't deal with it. Absurd, I tell you. Absurd.
Absurd. If you could have a castle in the shape of any animal, not a raven, what would you choose?
A dragon.
A dragon?
Yeah.
Can
You
you
didn't
hear
say it
that?
had to
Can you hear this?
the wind chime or the
Well, I was not talking about the wind chime, but I'm so glad to know that all of our poor listeners are going to have to hear wind chimes and the moving of my pillowcase. Whoops.
but honestly, if I could have a castle that had any shape besides like an animal, I'd probably do some sort of like skull with a hand as the entrance. Like you have to walk onto the hand and into the mouth type of deal. I don't know why.
Oh,
Yeah.
it could be like a full skeleton, and then like with the full skeleton, and then the hand at the mouth, and then you have to walk into the hand. That'd be
Yeah.
rad.
Right? Ugh. Just someone make that for us too, because that would be cool. What about you? What would be your animal or chosen option?
um, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer than that. A bat
A bat.
or
Oh,
an
yeah.
octopus.
An octopus could be pretty
An
badass.
octopus would be rad, and then each wing belongs to like I don't know, maybe a different person.
And each wing on an octopus.
Yeah, a wing of a house, like a wing,
Oh, okay. I
but
was
like a
like, would
tentacle,
it?
like a
I was gonna
tentacle
say,
wing,
wouldn't it be each tentacle would be a wing?
a tentacle wing,
Oh Lord.
and then the head is just mine.
Okay.
So, with all of these characters and all of these different elements, Jen, did you have a favorite character?
So I didn't have a favorite character. I mean,
Okay.
it- there was too many good ones. So I wasn't able to pick just one. Um, Obviously I really resonated with Bredikai. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she was a pretty good character and I digged her. But but Solanus, Sunny. Sunny was just I loved how much of a like a snob he was in certain moments. So I think if anything, he was kind of pushing my favorite as well as the triplets just with how chaotic they were.
You know, it was funny now that you mention it. It was so funny how, like, and it was even addressed in the book how she was like the killsmith and she's a person, right? But she was like kind of gross and like spits and rugged and whatever. And he was so like, um,
Uppity.
eloquent. Like, he was so like, he spoke proper and he was like, ugh, like offended sometimes. Oh, it was so funny the way that was. You would think like the animal, like the dragon, would be the one that was kind of like coarse and harsh, and no, he was very like royal.
There was actually one moment where she was like, "Well, excuse me, who decided you needed to be on your high horse or something along those lines?" And he's like, "Well, at least my vocabulary is more extensive or something along those lines." And then she comes out with this preposterous fucking sentence. It just killed me. But yeah,
It
I
was so
think because
funny.
I think because of their banter, those two just became my favorite characters. They were just like I don't know, they were water and oil, but at the same time they worked, you know?
Well, plus there were some parts where they were like, it was literally like a brother and sister like relationship. Like they would literally be at each other's throats and just like, you know, how dare you? But then in the next moment, like there was a quote that, or there was a part of the story where it was literally like, if the dragon slept, she slept. Like they were so underneath it all. There was like that underlying affection for each other.
Oh yeah. Like obviously like when they're poking at each other and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, hey. Yeah, we're good, right?" So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Their vibe was just everything. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Who was your favorite character?
My favorite character, so I wrote something down and it's really funny and like it's like okay. My favorite character is the Hexia sword. So those of you
Okay.
who have not read the book yet, her sword trembles when there's danger, like it vibrates when there's someone around who means to do her harm. And it was literally like she wrote it so it was such an integral part of the story. And she basically wrote it like the sword was a character. And I thought that was so cool.
You definitely threw me for a loop with that one, but yeah, I
I
could
know it's weird, but like, no, okay, so obviously, like, all of the characters are cool. Like, three skeletons were hilarious in their own little way. They're crazy chaotic. The wraith, she was awesome in her own way. Like everyone was wicked cool in their own way and brought so much to the story, but it would be hard to pick your favorite one.
Right. That's why I couldn't pick just one and top three. That's it.
I
That's what you get. So, okay. I could understand that.
dig it. I dig it.
I do.
Um, did you have a favorite quote?
Okay, listen here.
Oh
I did have a favorite quote.
God, I'm so excited.
So I had three favorite quotes. Now, I'm gonna hit you with the one that makes most sense to be my favorite quote.
Okay.
One needs only hear the word fuck, but so many times in one day. Yeah, it needs to be like 100,000 times a day. But I know it seems silly, but again, I use fuck like it's basil. I just sprinkle it on everything. Okay.
Like it's basil.
I put basil in everything I cook. It's a
That's
potato.
amazing.
I'm putting basil.
It's a potato.
It's a potato. It gets basil. Yes. Whatever. So another one of my favorites was death is rather consistent, one might say. Because our favorite Florian vampire, Mr. Sir, yes. It's so simple, but yet death is
Yeah.
consistent. It's sad, but it's consistent.
I
All
love
right.
that vampire. I know that he was like the just the way she described him was so I don't know. I thought that I liked the way she described him. It was understated but effective. It was all
Yeah.
like flowy and billowy and
Unlike Lestat.
I love everything about Lestat.
I'm sorry. I knew I had to throw it in there at least once during this episode.
Everything. Everything. I'm gonna make it. Maybe we should read Interview with the Vampire for
No,
the podcast.
I'll never get through it. It's so large.
She said. I
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Oh, anyway, my
It's just
last.
so good. And like, listen, no, you started it. So now we have to finish it. So like, I know that people don't love Lestat, and I get why, because he's literally like not a good person. But that's because he's not a person. And his heart's in the right place. And like the more you're on the journey with him to, bettering himself, the more I fall in love with him.
The more he, loses his humanity, the
You
more
wouldn't
we like
know.
him.
No, I
I
would almost
wouldn't
say
know.
that he gets more human as the no, I mean he pretty much stays himself. But he learns things, even though people don't think he does.
Well, I'll have to eventually get back into it.
Whatever. What's your next
I
quote?
know. So, my last quote is come you in fear or despair, we will not have you leave in enmity. I don't know
Ooh.
why, but it was like, I don't know, it was just one of those things where you're, you can come here in fear, but we're not going to leave you in harm's way. Like,
Yeah,
we're not going to hurt you. So, I don't know. I liked it.
I like that.
Okay. Hit us with your list.
Wait, was that all three?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
well,
Mine were nice and easy, and I know you have a list.
well, I've been sprinkling them in, so it's kind of I don't really have a list anymore. There is, let me see. So there's one part actually when they talk about what is time, like what time is, like the concept. And it's a really crucial part. Um But I just thought like as you saw, there was like kind of a lot of it was like a big chunk of dialogue, or not dialogue, but
Mm.
a big chunk of text. But it was so beautiful. And I didn't write it all down because it was so long, but it was like that whole section was stunning. Um, and then there was another part. Um, so in the story, there's a part where um I'm not going to explain how, but they were forced to see each other's worst moments. So, um, Bredikai was able to see the worst moments in each of her companions' lives, and likewise, they saw her worst moment. And it was actually really it kind of got me a second. And then afterwards, Sunny was kind of like, "Wow, like you're kind of intense, like you're really strong." And she was like, "I'm not strong, like other people have gone through worse things, like they're strong." And he says, "Grief is not something to be compared. Pain is pain, and it's either there or it's not. I am at once amazed and incredulous that you should see it any other way and belittle your own struggles." And I'm just going to go ahead and leave that there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm.
You need to send that to me so when I create the reel, I can put that on there.
I will for sure.
Yay.
Yay! I love creating reels. There's one from Ari Sanders that I have to post. Oh, maybe I'll
Mhm.
post it now. I
Well, how
just
about
like
after the podcast?
I just like working while we're on the pod, you know.
Okay, so she says that she's been working on the pod while on the pod, and here I've been downloading pictures so I can create a reel for this pod.
Uh, yeah. Anywho. All right. So this book, The Killsmith of Etherdeign, is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it is one of two. So it's The Killsmith of Etherdeign and then um A Dragon of Karkaren. And you can purchase them both. There's the Kindle version, and then there's you can purchase them in paperback on Amazon. Now, the author herself, we know through threads, and her handle is at DERTUG_author. And she's really like interactive. So she talks a lot with her followers and with people who post. And then she does have an Instagram, of course, at as one does, which is at the same handle. She does not at the moment have an author website, but that's okay. Show her some love on Threads and Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has the prettiest pink hair too.
Yeah. It I love her hair. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Jessica Mason's was really cool, but sorry. She's got pink and pink wins my heart. So
I love them both. They're just beautiful canvases.
they are. Don't get me wrong. Like I love Jessica's hair, but pink is my favorite color. So I mean,
Yeah.
you can't hate me for that.
Don't hate me because you ain't me. I'm sorry.
I didn't say that. You can hate me.
All right, Jen, go ahead and tell everyone what we are reading next week.
Next week we are reading Rhapsodic by Laura Thalassa.
Yes. So this is an author that we actually don't know. um, but but I had my sister-in-law read this first before I got a chance to. We're so cute. We go on like Barnes and Noble dates now. But anywho, she read it first, and I'm interested to see if I have the same reaction that she did.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
All right, everyone. Well, if you can, go ahead and follow us on all of the platforms at Devilish Bookworms. We still have our post up for if you want to submit your book. We've gotten so many and we're so thankful for all of you. I wish that we could get to everyone all at once, but we cannot, although we are kind of chipping away. So go ahead and submit and then talk to us because we're pretty friendly. We don't bite often.
Hard.
Bye.
At least we both had something to say. Well, we'll see you next week. Bye.